West now, because that Bundy press conference and what's going on those federal lands taking place right now. Let's listen in.
I'd like to just give some housekeeping items, and that is many of you have asked us for what is our name, and other than just citizens that care and feel like it's time that we make a stand to protect our human rights, we didn't really know what to say. But we felt that we'd give ourselves a name, at least so that we can be reported that way, and we could be more organized in that effort, and that would be Citizens for Constitutional Freedom. Our purpose, as we have shown, is to restore and defend the Constitution, that each person in this country can be protected by it, and that prosperity can continue. We love our country. We love the people in it. We know that we are struggling to be able to know what to do as a nation, and in many ways we are dividing, and we hope that we can restore those things, and that we can unite as a people in protecting individuals, that we will not forget about how important each person is, and how that person has the right to live here on this earth, and has the right to live in liberty, and has the right to own property, and to be able to reap the fruits of their labors. As many of you may know, this effort, if you will, started by understanding that a ranching family here in Harney County has been put under duress by multiple federal agencies. That those agencies have desired for many years to acquire their ranch, and that the Hammond family have refused to sell it because they want to pass on the ranching heritage to their children and to their grandchildren. And because of that refusal to sell their ranch, these federal agencies began an attack on this family. The Hammond family has experienced their private waters being fenced off by federal agencies even after the state of Oregon ruled that it was their waters. They have been restricted from their private property through the refuge here, going to their private properties through road closures and fences and gates, even after it was determined that the road was owned by the County of Harney. They have multiple times refused the purchase of it, and because of that have been prosecuted for actions that ranchers have done for over 100 years in this county, and in this valley, and for protecting their private property. And these things are what this is about. That because we have allowed our federal government to step outside the bounds of the Constitution, they have come down upon the people and are prosecuting them now directly. They are coming down into the states and taking over the land and the resources, putting the people into duress, putting the people into poverty, and putting entire counties and entire states into undue obedience. I have asked that Shauna Cox read you what we have titled the Notice Redress of Grievance. And to give you a little background, we have spent several weeks, 2 months to be exact, in petitioning the state and the local county representatives to stand for the Hammonds against these unconstitutional actions. And we have done this through petitions. We have done this through contacts by emails. We know that the sheriff has received thousands of emails. We also know that the county representatives and the state representatives have received thousands of emails, and to no avail, that they have been ignored to the point where they have not even responded back at all. I myself, and along with many other organizations and influential people, have contacted these representatives and the county sheriff, asking them to get involved. And all we have been asking from the very beginning is that they put together an evidential hearing board to look at the evidences, look at the accusations that are set forth, and to look at the abuses that the Hammonds have been experiencing. And they have refused in every case. The notice redress of grievance was our final attempt to get them to act. And this was a legal notice that was delivered to the county sheriff and the county representatives and state representatives. And I'm going to ask Shauna Cox if she'll read this.
Good evening, friends. The new year is here, and with it, rebellion. Earlier today, a group of armed men stormed a federal building in Oregon. Beyond that, everything is speculation. Everything is spin. Were there 6 men or 150? Are their aims vicious or noble? Was this action symbolic, or did they intend an act of war? In the year 1919, armed men stormed a post office in Dublin, Ireland. Thusly began the Easter Rising. Most of its leaders were executed, and the rebellion was an utter failure, but only in the short term. The longer consequences are the more important, and I guarantee that the leaders of the Easter Rising would agree. Their example inspired the Revolutionary Republic, and their sacrifice to this day sings to us in heroic voice. We may not agree that the ranchers' complaints against the federal government are the most dire, or the most worthy of taking up arms. But we can, if nothing else, see in them an example. What does it matter whether they are fighting for their family members and neighbors, or whether they are fighting for the abstract concept of property rights? Are we not all American citizens, and all outraged by the overreach of the federal government? Listen. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Those of you who insist on belittling the folks in Oregon because they have no master plan for revolution, or because you find their objectives to be silly farmer nonsense, or because they are not as well versed in political philosophy as you are worse than the sheep who swallow what the media reports without question. You, who have been talking about the overreach of the federal government for years, are now berating the people who are actually doing something about it. So get off your high horse, quit your juvenile internet commentary, and support your fellow citizens in their struggle against tyranny. History will judge you not by the bite of your sarcastic witticisms on Facebook, but by your actions and by your sacrifices. Were you there for the fight, or did you cower behind your desk and call it reasonableness? To this end, let me be the first politician to commend those folks in Oregon on their bravery and conviction. Whether victory or defeat is the outcome, the honor is in fighting against your oppressor. Those who are on the front lines nourish the cause in a way no others can, and in honor of them wrote Yeats. "Oh, words are lightly spoken," said Pierce to Connolly. "Maybe a breath of politic words has withered our rose tree, or maybe but a wind that blows across the bitter sea." "It needs to be but watered," James Connolly replied, "to make the green come out again and spread on every side, and shake the blossom from the bud to be the garden's pride." "But where can we draw water," said Pierce to Connolly, "when all the wells are parched away? Oh, plain as plain can be, there's nothing but our own red blood can make a white rose tree."